Commander Zekathara had fought in 17 galactic campaigns across 4 star systems. He had witnessed the legendary ferocity of Kraxian berserkers, survived the calculated brutality of Vorthak assassins, and commanded fleets against the hive mind efficiency of the Nexus Collective. But nothing, absolutely nothing, had prepared him for humans. The initial intelligence reports had been disturbing enough. Human soldiers displayed an alarming disregard for their own survival, throwing themselves into battle with a reckless abandon that defied all military logic. They fought wounded, fought outnumbered, and somehow kept fighting long after their alien counterparts would have surrendered or died. The Galactic Council had classified them as a Class A military threat within months of first contact. But those reports, Zekathara now realized, had barely scratched the surface. The invasion of Earth's outer colonies had proceeded according to plan, initially. His fleet had overwhelmed the human defense stations, and ground forces had secured the primary settlements within standard operational timeframes. The human military had fought predictably, fierce, determined, but ultimately following recognizable patterns of organized resistance. Then the civilians got involved. It started small. A supply convoy ambushed not by soldiers but by a group of humans who introduced themselves as farmers. They had rigged their agricultural equipment into improvised weapons, turning fertilizer, spreaders into chemical dispensers, and harvest drones into guided missiles. When Zekathara's forces finally captured them, they found the farmers laughing, actually laughing, as they compared the efficiency of their makeshift weapons. "You should see what my neighbor did with his livestock feed mixer," one had chuckled while being processed. "Made your fancy energy shields look like tissue paper." The situation escalated rapidly. What the humans called soccer moms began coordinating resistance cells with military precision, using something called parent WhatsApp groups to disseminate tactical information faster than Zekathara's communications network could intercept. They organized carpools to transport weapons, used school fundraising networks to acquire supplies, and somehow convinced their offspring to serve as reconnaissance operatives. Children. The humans were using their own children as intelligence assets. The breaking point came when Zekathara's elite shock troopers encountered what appeared to be a simple retirement community. Intelligence suggested minimal resistance. Elderly humans with limited mobility and outdated technology. The assault team expected an easy pacification. They walked into a nightmare. The elderly humans had decades of military experience, engineering expertise, and most terrifyingly, nothing left to lose. They had turned their recreational vehicles into mobile command centers, their golf courses into artillery ranges, and their book clubs into tactical planning committees. One particularly resourceful group of grandmothers had weaponized their knitting circle, using their detailed knowledge of patterns and sequences to crack Zekathara's encryption protocols. "They're sharing pie recipes," his communications specialist reported, tentacles trembling. "But it's actually deployment coordinates, and sir, the casualty reports." Zekathara didn't want to hear the casualty reports. The humans called it civilian ingenuity. They took mundane objects and transformed them into instruments of warfare with a creativity that bordered on insanity. Coffee shops became intelligence. Hubs, food trucks served as mobile weapons platforms, and something called Home Depot had apparently become the primary source of explosive materials for the entire resistance. A group of teachers had established a training program that turned ordinary citizens into tactical experts within weeks. They called it adult education, and their graduation ceremonies featured live fire exercises against captured Zekathara equipment. The humans treated warfare like a community college course. But the most disturbing discovery came when Zekathara's xenobiologists analyzed the human population demographics. The military, those disciplined, trained soldiers who had given them such trouble, represented less than 1% of Earth's population. The civilians weren't an auxiliary force. They were the primary threat. Every human was a potential warrior. The accountant who balanced budgets also calculated trajectory mathematics. The nurse who tended wounds knew exactly where to inflict them most effectively. The mechanic who fixed vehicles could just as easily sabotage them, and did so with surgical precision. They had invaded a planet where every citizen was a sleeper agent for their own species. The final straw came during what the humans called Parent-Teacher Conference Night. What should have been a routine civilian gathering turned into a coordination meeting for a planet-wide counteroffensive. Parents and educators shared intelligence over refreshments, planned supply runs between discussions of their children's academic progress, and scheduled resistance operations around soccer practice. Zekthara watched from his command ship as his supposedly impregnable positions fell not to military assaults, but to coordinated civilian uprisings. A group of humans identifying themselves as the PTA had somehow infiltrated his primary base, using techniques that would have impressed professional espionage operatives. The surrender came when his own mother contacted him. Somehow the humans had traced his personal communication codes and convinced his family back on Zekthon Prime that he was making poor life choices. His mother's disapproval, transmitted through human-hijacked quantum channels, proved more demoralizing than any military defeat. As the evacuation shuttles departed Earth's atmosphere, Zekthara filed his final report to the Galactic Council. Recommend immediate reclassification of human threat level. Military designation insufficient. Suggest new category. Planetary scale civilian combatant. Invasion inadvisable. Peaceful contact strongly recommended. In the margins, he added a personal note. They made their children sell cookies to fund anti-aircraft weapons. What kind of species does that? The answer, he now understood, was humanity, and the galaxy would never be the same.